It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell, and in headlines you could write, I could write, anybody could write, Merriam-Webster names their top word of the year. I always like the Merriam-Webster top word of the year. I think Heritage Dictionary does the same thing, and I'll bet it'll be the same. Everybody all together, the word is pandemic. Of course. Of course it is. That probably isn't a big shock, says Peter Skolowski, editor-at-large for Merriam-Webster, as he told the Associated Press. Often the big news story has a technical word that's associated with it, and in this case, the word pandemic is not just technical, but has become general. It's probably the word by which we'll refer to this period in the future, he said. Pandemic, with roots in Latin and Greek, is a combination of pan, which means all, and demos, for people or population. The latter is the same root of democracy, of course. The word pandemic dates to the mid-1600s, used broadly for universal and more specifically to disease in a medical text in the 1660s. So, if you're wondering, coronavirus, of course, has been in the dictionary for decades. COVID-19 was coined in February, and then shortly after that, Merriam-Webster had COVID-19 in their online edition. So coronavirus was among the runners-up for word of the year. Quarantine, asymptomatic, Mamba? Spikes for Mamba occurred after the January death of Kobe Bryant. Oh, of course. Whose nickname was the Black Mamba. Right. So there you go. Pandemic. An epidemic over a large region. Your Merriam-Webster 2020 word of the year. Maybe next year. Let's start predicting next year's word of the year. Let's just hope it could be a happy word. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be great? If suddenly just peace broke out all over the world and it's all anybody talked about? Look how peaceful everything is. And the word of the year was peace. Wouldn't that be nice? Or health. Or prosperity. Or equality. Truth. Beauty. Goodness. Justice. Liberty. Hey. Well, it was kind of fun here over the weekend. A few of my social media friends were official counters here in Wisconsin. And as was expected, that recount netted a slight gain for Joe Biden, because that's just what happens when you recount a state. If you missed a few votes along the way, and which is typical for a recount, there's usually a few more, handful. And since the winner took the state by a certain percentage, the odds are pretty good that the handful of votes you find are going to be a similar winning percentage. That's just the way it works. So the final tally added 257 votes for Biden, 125 votes for the Orange Menace, for a net gain of, 132 votes for Biden. My friend Jason, who was one of the counters, points out that's $7,782.10 per vote for the president-elect and $16,000 per vote for the outgoing president. All paid for, of course, by the Orange Menace. So there's some money well spent. So that's official. There you go. Yeah, I had a couple of friends in there counting. Good for them. Good public servants. Speaking of social media friends, I don't know. I don't know about your social media experience. Mine is pretty anemic. I don't have that many friends. One of the reasons I started the Charles Purcell page was because on my personal page, on the Peter Donalds page, it was clear to me from the feedback I was getting that nobody wanted to hear my politics at all. Just not interested. One little bit. So when we started the podcast a few years ago, I thought, well, okay, let's use the Charles Purcell pseudonym, not only for the podcast, but let's open up a brand new Facebook page, and I will splash all of my political opinions and share all the political articles that I find on that page. And I will leave the Peter Donalds page just for the personal stuff. And for the most part, I've stuck with that. Although, as the election drew near, I thought, I felt just a certain duty to share some political stuff on the personal page as well. So I broke that rule a few times. And I've found now over the last few years that if I do that, I get zero response from anybody. Now, I'm not somebody who necessarily is always looking at my like count, right? How many people like what I posted or love what I posted or find it funny or they care? I don't like the new caring emoji. It's a little, yeah, not a fan of that one. So, I look at it like anybody else will. I don't like to think I obsess about it. I don't think I do. But I look at it enough to notice that, people just do not want to hear my political opinions or care at all about the articles I share. But I did on Thanksgiving, just on a whim, a very simple post. I took a picture of the view out of my window. As you know, we just moved. I just moved to a small apartment. I'm on the 21st floor, so I have a nice view of downtown Milwaukee and Lake Michigan and the river right at my feet. And of course the woods along the Oak Leaf Trail there leading south to downtown. So I posted that picture along with a little informal announcement. Hey everybody, in case you didn't know, I moved. This is my new view. Still in River West, the greatest neighborhood in the world. And by comparison, I won't give you the number because it's kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to give you the total. I'm too embarrassed. But I will tell you, it's, I don't know, at least 10 times more than my average response. At least 10. So I'm not going to give you either number because they're both embarrassingly low. But I guess this is what people want. Okay, that's fine. But in rare territory here, the responses just coming from everywhere for this spur of the moment post, no thought put into it at all. Just, hello, okay, there you go. And they keep coming in. That's the thing. With the Facebook algorithms or however it works, it's still a mystery to me how things get posted and then reposted, and they keep showing up in the feed. Because now I'm getting responses every day, and it's been 4 or 5 days since I posted. Social media is a funny thing, isn't it? Well, speaking of moving, oh my God, I'm finally done. Well, no, that's not true. I'm finally almost done. Oh, if I could give one piece of advice to my younger self, don't ever have anything. Have no personal possessions. What a pain in the ass. I mean, just the regular stuff, just clothes and cleaning supplies. The stuff you need, a chair, a dresser, just the basics. Add to that the tools of my trade. I've got lots of sound audio equipment. But my goodness, too much. It's just too much. It took me all weekend again to just sort of do the final cleanup on the house. And then for the final cleanup, I've got a couple of bathrooms and a kitchen that need that kind of move out cleaning. That cleaning for the landlord to get your security deposit back. And I got to that point, and I looked at it, and I thought, I just can't do this anymore. I got to be done. So I posted on my River West neighborhood page, hey, you know what? Any professional cleaners out there? Come on over tomorrow and do my 2 bathrooms and my kitchen, and I will happily pay you. What's your rate? Give me a rough estimate. I don't have a lot of money, but I thought, A, I just don't want to do this. And B, it would feel great to give somebody some work who might really need it. That would feel good. And again, I don't have much money, but I got a couple of bucks and I can do that. I thought, all right, well, let's do that. So I get a few responses. I choose one. We're all set. And then I wake up this morning to a message from her that came in about 4:30 in the morning. Oh, sorry, can't make it today. Something came up. Something with her family. Now, I hope everything's all right. I'm going to assume that it was something important and she's not flaking on me, that something really important came up. Her tone was, of course, tone is always difficult, right? In a text or a message. Tone is difficult to convey. The tone I got was pretty casual. It just said something came up with her family. She didn't make any great efforts to say, oh, it's a terrible tragedy has happened that I must attend to. A very serious situation has come up. No, it is something came up with my family. Like, my sister decided we're going to go Christmas shopping or something. I don't know. Again, tone is difficult. I'm not going to assume anything. I mean, I will assume that, yes, it was serious enough that merited this cancellation at the last minute. So now, forgive me while I record the show here. I'm checking my messages occasionally because I offered the job to somebody I turned down. You know, I had a few offers and I had to send out the, well, you weren't chosen message, right? I had several applicants and I chose someone, you know, whatever that form letter is. So I may be a little distracted checking my messages to see if my second guy will come through, because I did get back to him. I said, okay, well, you're next in line. She fell through. Can you make it today? So after you and I speak, I've got one more day and I may have to do the cleaning myself. Oh, I don't feel up to it. I will be so happy when this is all over, and it'll be all over today. Never have to step foot in that house again. Not that I didn't like it. I loved the house. But, yeah, this move, too much. I did take advantage of the house one more time because, as I mentioned to you last week, I have no television reception in my new apartment. I scan the channels, and I'm lucky to get a couple of weird channels. I don't know what I'm getting, but for sure, I do not get the NBC affiliate here in Milwaukee. So I took advantage of the old house, and yesterday, as I did the last cleanup and moving, I took a little TV over there and watched the Packer game. So I worked during the day, and then 7:30 rolls around, I watched the Packers beat the Bears. So that was good. It was good I had the house for one more day. I could get television reception over there. Just took over my TV and my little antenna. Wow, how would you like to be a Bears fan? Wow. Got to feel sorry for those guys. You just got to. That's got to be rough, being a Bears fan. Of course, I know, because I'm old enough. I lived through the entire decade of the 80s as a Packers fan. So I've been there. I have earned all of my pleasure as a fan because I muscled through the lean years. Oh, my goodness, the 80s. And pretty much most of the 70s, for that matter. Yeah, it was a rough 20 years. It was a really rough 20 years between Bart Starr and Brett Favre. Oh, mercy. And then after the game, so I make one more trip back over to the new homestead here. Flip on the news as I'm getting ready for bed, and oh, they're so excited. Just amazing. Their big story, a 7-year-old shoots a 21-point trophy buck in Wisconsin. And everybody's just beaming. Then I look it up, and it's just all over my search engine. Everybody picked up this story. Everybody. It's like the local feel-good story all over the country, at least all over the Midwest, all over, places that share this kind of hunting culture. But I found it really just horrible. I'm looking at it right now. Here's this kid posing with the dead deer. And that's what people do, right? Which to me is just deplorable and gross. And shame on his father, shame on that whole family, shame on the whole culture that gets off on killing these beautiful, majestic animals. I really try to have appreciation for people whose culture is different than mine. But this goes beyond a cultural difference. This is just disgusting and immoral. Here's this beaming 7-year-old boy posing with a bloody, dead 21-point buck. Yeah, the gun hunting season started a little before Thanksgiving. I guess it continues. It's almost over. His father's quoted in the story, "For him to be able to shoot an animal that size and everything else, it was just amazing," said the father. Happened in Oconto County at a deer ranch. A deer ranch? Oh, see, now this makes it even worse. They put a bunch of deer in a ranch, they fence them in, and then you go out and shoot them? Come on. The kid is quoted, I'm not going to say anybody's name, by the way. The kid says, "I didn't really get a good shot at it, but I got it in the throat, then out the shoulder," said the boy. "It's always been one shot. He hasn't ever taken more than that at an animal," said the father. "I mean, I had him shooting a BB gun at a target when he was probably 1. He shot a spike when he was 5 in Michigan, and then a 6-pointer last year at 6 years old," the father says. "I stand behind him and press the bottom of the stock so it absorbs some of the impact on his shoulder, and then he does everything," the father proudly said. "I got set up and I just pulled the trigger and I was shooting from 50 yards. It ran 30 yards and it dropped," the kid said. "You're excited. You just pulled the trigger." "For him to shoot something like that, it's just amazing," the father said. "Whether it's on a ranch or in the wild, to watch him, see the excitement." I've had people try to explain to me why I shouldn't be upset about this. Generally speaking, deer hunting in general. But this particular story just makes me so sad. The kid is so happy, so excited. And then actually taking that photo that they all take, teaching this 7-year-old kid to pose with a dead animal. What is wrong with people? Yeah, several folks have tried to explain to me how it's cultural. And they give me all sorts of BS about how hunters love nature and they love the animals themselves. And they get into almost this spiritual, like Native American tribe thing about honoring the kill. And come on, you don't do that. Give me a break. You drink beer and you go shoot animals for sport. Don't give me this love of nature, circle of life BS. And yes, I understand there's a long, long history, especially in Native American culture, for centuries on this continent. It was deeply embedded into the religion, into the life of Native Americans, and I'm not going to question that. Where you do pray over your kill, and then it provides clothing and sustenance. And you have rituals and you bury the bones, and yeah, I'm not gonna get into all of that. I'm not gonna question that. But the current state of deer hunting, don't give me tradition. It's just brutal. It's just sick. I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I've had people try to tell me, "Oh well, we eat the venison. We eat the meat. I do it to feed my family." That is such a joke. The money it costs in time spent, in all the gear, license, and then preparing the deer afterwards, having it skinned and butchered, and it costs a fortune. You could buy an equal amount of meat at the store for a fraction of that price. So don't tell me you're feeding your family. That is just not the case. Go buy some hamburger. So that argument just does not fly. Nope. No. the other argument is that you have to thin the herd or they'll starve. Well, that may be true, but this is not the solution. You and I talked at length about reintroducing wolves to their natural state in the ecosystem, and that would take care of everything and lots of other problems as well. The whole system improves when you reintroduce wolves. But you can't have wolves because you got to keep building your houses and developments out deeper and deeper into the wilderness and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, everything about this just sucks. And now this beaming 7-year-old, continuing the tradition, smiling into the camera, holding up his kill. Nah, I'm not having it. I'm just not having it. I wonder what else they're teaching this kid. I wonder what else the proud father is teaching this kid. I'll bet they believe in Jesus. I'll bet they do. Yeah, can you imagine Jesus smiling into a camera, holding up the bloody head of his kill? Can you imagine that? Let's try for a minute. No, doesn't really come to mind very easily. Don't give me this us and them stuff. We have to understand the deplorables. Some ideas just have to go away forever. I'm just really beyond annoyed at this story. And everybody picked it up. I mean, everybody picked it up. Became this nice little video package for local news all around the Midwest. All just happy, smiley faces from the news anchors. Amazing. Just out of curiosity, I searched the term 7-year-old just to see what would come up. And this story came up time after time after time. But I also got this. 7-year-old North Chattanooga animal lover Elise Marks spent 8 months collecting used golf balls and sold them to golfers over the Thanksgiving holiday. As a result, she raised hundreds of dollars for local animal shelters. After Elise gathered a couple of hundred golf balls, she was forced to think about what she was going to do with all of those balls. Her grandfather, Mike Mallon, said, "We talked about it and looked on the internet to see what used golf balls sell for. Then we gave thought to setting up a stand near the golf course right by the cart path. Elise designed and typed the charity signs and created a sales kiosk. I was not only delighted to watch her manage her little sales operation, but it was also very delightful to see how kind and generous the golfers were as they passed her little pop-up shop. Almost every golfer bought balls, and some even donated extra money for animal rescue efforts." Next week, Elise will be bringing all of the proceeds to McCamey Animal Shelter. She plans on collecting balls through the fall and early spring so that she can do this again late next spring and bring the proceeds to the Humane Society. Elise is a second-grade student at Bright School, but is currently homeschooling because of the COVID situation. Elise loves playing outside, flying kites, riding her scooter, helping her mom cook delicious meals, helping her dad, Matt Marks, with outdoor projects, and caring for animals. She has a joyful dog named Elvis. Her grandfather says, "Elise has a very kind and joyful heart for public service. She has been walking the yards along the golf course near our house for the last 9 months, searching for golf balls. Every day has been like an Easter egg hunt. It has been a great outdoor activity during this challenging time." That's from thechattanoogan.com. 7-year-old Elise Marks turns used golf balls into hundreds of dollars for animal shelter. Now that's a story. There you go. No contest. If you had a 7-year-old, would you want that 7-year-old posing with their kill, the bloodied head of a 21-point buck? Or would you rather have your 7-year-old emulate 7-year-old Elise Marks, who loves animals and cares for them? On my little impromptu search, I also came across a 7-year-old in Montgomery County, Maryland, who's teamed up with his local police station and a state senator to help build food pantries for his community. 7-year-old Kavanaugh Bell is the chief positivity creator of the nonprofit Cool and Dope, and recently helped 5 portable food pantries to be placed throughout the city of Gaithersburg. This is one of Bell's most recent projects, as he collaborated with 6th District officers and Maryland State Senator Cheryl Kagan to build 5 wooden food pantries. "It's just an inspiring story," said Rick Gooddale of Montgomery County Police. "What started as a 7-year-old is inspiring all these adults to come together and try to benefit the rest of the community." So there's something you could do rather than shoot beautiful, majestic animals. Here's another happy little story. 7-year-old uses birthday money to help homeless on Thanksgiving. "I just wanted to help a lot of people," the 7-year-old said. Dylan Virtudazu's birthday party was canceled in August due to the coronavirus pandemic, so he received some cash instead. Initially unsure how to spend it, he came up with the idea when his teachers asked students about their plans for Thanksgiving. "He's always been like that," his mother said. She brought up a time in August when Houston was under a hurricane watch, and her son showed her a handful of coins, saying he wanted to give them to the homeless for hurricane supplies after overhearing his parents talk about the supplies they needed for hurricane prep. During trips to the grocery store, Dylan always makes sure that if he gets candy, his brothers and sisters do too, even if they don't come to the store. That selfless attitude is what led Dylan to use his birthday money to create so-called blessing bags for the homeless. Virtudazu and her children drive to homeless shelters on Thanksgiving to deliver the bags, and said one recipient cried when he found out Dylan was the mastermind behind it all, which prompted everyone in the car to start crying as well. "I just wanted to help a lot of people," the 7-year-old said. "I just see homeless people on the street. It makes me sad because I wonder what happened." Dylan noted that one of the recipients of his blessings bag had one arm, and all of the recipients had cool eyes, meaning their eyes looked happy when they received bags. Yeah, do you have a 7-year-old or hope to have a 7-year-old one day or had a 7-year-old once in your life as a parent? That's the 7-year-old I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping for in my 7-year-old kid. And that was just one little cursory search on one day out of the calendar year. Just search the term 7-year-old on any given day, and you'll find a couple stories like that, I guess. Pretty good. I feel bad for that kid whose parents are teaching him to kill animals. You can tell me I'm wrong. No one's convinced me yet. It just needs to go away. The whole hunting thing needs to just go away. All right, so good for those kids. Good for those kids. Happy stories. Okay, on to another week. Here we go. Our first baby steps into the new week. We wish good luck to the president-elect, who's got a walking boot on his right foot. Poor guy. Broke his foot. Playing with Major, one of his dogs. I imagine we'll have a few jokes. Yeah, we'll have a few jokes about Major being wrestled to the ground by Secret Service. You can count on that. So we wish Joe Biden well. Okay, there it is. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell. Talk to you tomorrow.